Hello guys and welcome back to another FPL video. My name is FPL Meerkat and today I'm looking over my Game Week 7 team, really high score for me last week, and my Game Week 8 team selection for you guys. So let's get straight into it. So this was my Game Week 7 team, like most of you, 0 points. A small green arrow of 30,000 places. Obviously there's not really much to talk about this week given the postponement, the unfortunate passing of the Queen of England, postponing all the games last week. So yeah, small green arrow from all the people taking hits. -4 would send you back quite a few places. So yeah, gained a few places there. Let's have a look at how my team's looking for Game Week 8. So this is how my Game Week 8 team is currently looking. This will obviously not be the final team. I'm just waiting as long as possible to make my transfers. 100 million squad value, 1.7 million in the bank. As you can see, I've already had to make a transfer due to the price rises. I have a series of transfers that I want to make that I have the exact money for. So any price differences would price me out of the transfer. So I've already done Walker to Trippier. Obviously, there's been quite a few announcements for this week. There are 7 fixtures going ahead. There are 3 that have been cancelled, that being Brighton Palace, Man United Leeds and Liverpool Chelsea. I'm pretty sure everyone's teams have been affected by this in some way or another. I don't have the luxury of having my wild card, so I'm having to use hits to navigate this period. I'm not planning on using the free hit, as only with a couple hits I can get out a full squad of 11, and I just think the free hit will be better utilised later down the line. So this is how the team's currently looking. I have 8. I have 8 players currently available to play. Obviously, Stansfield has transferred away from Fulham. I think he's gone on loan for the season. So yeah, I'm currently looking to make some amendments to that. So yeah, I have 5 players who are affected by the fixtures being cancelled, that being Dalot, Harrison, Diaz, Salah and Trent. So, and I had a further 2 who had a problem. Stansfield's transferred away and Walker was injured. So I'm basically having to take out 4 of those players to bring in another 4 to field a full 11 for this week. A -8 seems quite bad on paper, but honestly, I don't really look at it as a -8 this week because I am taking an 8-point hit to field 4 players who are going to probably play, all giving me 2 points. So I'm really not taking a hit at all this week because I'm gaining those 8 points back immediately through starts. I think any more than -8 and I'd be worrying. I wouldn't be taking a -12. I think if you're getting to the -12 territory, that's when I think I'd free hit. I think I'm just on the cusp of not having to use my free hit this week. So yeah, I'm looking pretty ropey at the moment for this week, given the players I'm going to have to play. Although I will say something that I do like the look of at the minute is the players like Martinelli, Jesus, and yeah, so a lot of the Liverpool players as well. Everyone's wildcarding them out, so they're actually becoming a bit of a differential. If you look at the Twitter scene, I see a lot of teams transferring out all of their Liverpool players. A lot of people going with 0 Liverpool players. So I think keeping any might be a bit of a differential over the coming weeks. But obviously, quite a few of them are going to have to go to field players this week, and their fixtures are turning for the worst. So if you are getting rid of Liverpool players, I do think that is the right thing to be doing. But let's get into my potential transfers this week. So this is the team I'm looking to field in Game Week 8, making 4 transfers, taking -8 hit. I'll be bringing out Salah, Diaz, Walker and Stansfield to transfer in De Bruyne, Bowen, Trippier and Mitrovic, which I think is a great set of transfers for my team. Again, like I said, I have the exact amount of money to make these transfers, so I'm going to have to do this quite quickly. However, I do want to leave it as late as possible, given the likes of De Bruyne and Bowen will be playing in international, in European competitions this week. So I want to wait as long as possible for that. But I think De Bruyne might be going up in price this evening on Wednesday. So I might be pushed into making those transfers a little bit earlier than I'd like to. But I really like how the look of the look of this team. Obviously, getting rid of Salah is a big call. I think a lot of people are getting rid of him on a wild card. I just prefer De Bruyne over the likes of Son this week. I think Son just isn't quite showing the the stats that I would like from a player that's that expensive. And the main reason I'm not going for Son is he's actually quite a bit of a rotation risk now. Richarlison and Kulusevski are both looking very good for Spurs, so I wouldn't be surprised if Son does get benched in the next couple of weeks. So I'm just wanting to steer clear of him. And De Bruyne has had his rest. I don't think he's really a rotation risk. He does start the majority of games. And because he's already been benched earlier this season, I don't think he'll be benched for the foreseeable future. And I just love seeing that triple up of Cancelo, De Bruyne and Haaland, knowing that those are the three City players who are very likely to start all the time. Obviously, the players I'd be keeping: Trent, Dalot and Harrison, who don't have a fixture this week, but I'll be keeping for the foreseeable future. The main transfers that I'm definitely making are Salah to De Bruyne and getting in Mitrovic, upgrading Stansfield all the way to Mitrovic. Given the amount of money I had in the bank, I have the exact money to do that move. Mitrovic just looks on absolute fire. I think he's a great vice captain this week. He's a very good captain if it wasn't for Haaland. And obviously playing on the Friday, given how much chaos has been with the postponements, if there were to be postponements, it would be quite nice to get your captain out early. I know he plays on the Friday, so there's maybe that to take into account. I don't think that will come into play. I have quite a few players playing each other this week, which is slightly annoying. I'll probably be much lower down in the rankings this week in comparison to people who are wildcarding, with Raya playing against Martinelli and Jesus, and then Mitrovic and Andreas coming up against Nico Williams. I'm basically just hoping for massive amounts of goals, and hopefully Raya gets some saves and Nico Williams somehow gets a goal contribution in the game. Obviously, I've only got one Newcastle player against that nice fixture against Bournemouth. I have liked the looks of Isaac and Tony. I don't actually have enough money to get either of those unless I took out Jesus, but that would be for a Nava hit, and there's no point taking out Jesus for a Nava hit. I'm already on a -8. Mitrovic is just cheap enough for me to get him in with the money I had left in the bank. And yeah, so I really like the look of Mitrovic and De Bruyne. I've obviously brought in Trippier. I just think that Newcastle defence looks so good for that fixture against Bournemouth. Probably the nicest fixture on paper to have. I know a lot of people are doubling up on the Newcastle defence. I think for the short term, that is really good. I'm just not too keen about doubling up on any defence at the moment, just because there's not many clean sheets happening in the game. And Trippier has a lot of attacking threat, especially on that right flank, which Bournemouth seem to concede a lot of chances on their left flank. And the other transfer that I'd be making is Diaz to Bowen. Now, that's the least likely to happen. I will probably make it because I do quite like to field a full 11 for this week. And obviously Diaz doesn't have a fixture this week, so it is essentially just a -2, given that Bowen is almost definitely going to start. Bowen is a bit of a risk. This £8 million midfield spot could be a number of different players. It could be Saka, it could be Maddison. Bowen is probably my favourite at the moment. Obviously, his stats aren't great at all. He's not registered a single goal or assist this week. The reason I'm going for Bowen as a little bit of a punt is I saw the Europa League highlights and he was getting in some fantastic positions. He was so close to scoring in a lot of goals. And I just don't think the stats are quite reflective of how well he's playing. Obviously, he's been far off what he was last season, but I don't think he's been playing poorly. I think there's definitely goals in him. Obviously, he's not going to be blanking every single week. And because the fixtures are turning for West Ham, I can definitely see them kickstarting. I know they're really low down the table so far, but I can't see them being that low down forever. And obviously, they've just signed Paqueta. They've made some amazing signings, West Ham. So I really expect them to kick off. And I think Bowen is a nice sort of differential pick. I feel like I've got quite a few differential picks in this team, although looking at other people's wild cards, maybe they're not as different as I thought they were. I haven't really tailored my team towards what everyone else is doing, more what I would like to do, but unfortunately a lot of the picks I'd call differential aren't as differential as I thought they were. Obviously transferring out Salah to the likes of De Bruyne is a fairly obvious move, either to him or Son, and obviously De Bruyne is doing better than Son at the moment, so yeah, kind of speaks for itself. But I love owning De Bruyne. I owned him for the fixture last year against Wolves when he scored 4 goals. Is there a potential to captain him? We'll see what happens in the Champions League. fixture, but I think going against Haaland is just a bad idea given that everyone's going to be captaining him, and I feel like if De Bruyne's doing well, surely Haaland's doing well. I know there was that Bournemouth game, so maybe not, but I don't see any reason to back against Haaland for the captaincy. But yeah, I like the look of this team. Let me know what you guys think about taking the -8 hit. Do you think it's me worth using the free hit to save myself from taking that -8? I personally think it's better used further down the line, and I don't have my wild card to use either. I think I can navigate it enough with these hits. I feel quite good about keeping Trent as well. I know he's not been playing well, but I feel like a lot of people are going to be getting rid of all their Liverpool assets. And that game against Brighton, now that Graham Potter's moved away from Brighton to be the Chelsea manager, I feel like there could be a clean sheet and maybe a haul for Trent in that game. He looked defensively better in the Liverpool game against Ajax last night. He looked a lot better. And he's still taking a lot of long shots and making some great chances. So I think Trent is still a great option. I know a lot of people have called him a season keeper and are now transferring him out after a few bad games. I think Trent will come good again. So I'm very happy holding on to him. I would like to hold on to one of Diaz or Salah, but I think I'll just be transferring them in quite soon. I would just like to capitalise on the points that Bowen and De Bruyne can give immediately, given that they're playing games whilst Liverpool are blanking. And I have looked at doing some other things. I've looked at moving Trent to a different defender. There's just no other defenders I'm that massively keen on getting in at the moment. I would like Pope in the team, but again, that's another -4 for not much reason. Again, I can Pope outscore Raya by 4 points this week? Definitely, but is it really worth it now? I'm on a -8 to go even more into the red. I don't think it is worth doing that. Even though I think Pope is a fantastic option, if it backfires, then it's going to be absolutely catastrophic. And I have looked at some of the other 6 million mids I could swap Harrison out for, but again, I would just like to have that 8 million mid slot. I think Diaz is still a great pick. He still looked like Liverpool's best attacker, in my opinion, but he's just a rotation risk now with Jota, Nunez, Firmino all available. I just don't know if he's going to play every game. Salah probably is going to play every game. We'll see what kind of a lineup they have in the few coming weeks, and obviously in the Champions League games. Might be a bit of rotation with who plays in both of those. But yeah, I'm really liking the look of how this team is looking. But I did make a free hit draft in case I do go for it. So I'm just going to go over that quickly. So if I was to free hit, this is the kind of team I'd be looking at. And there aren't too many differences to my current team. Obviously the likes of Kane in there and Kulusevski. I'd be looking at trying to focus more in that Spurs game against Leicester. Spurs did look very weak in their Europa League game that they just played against Sporting. I think defensively they've looked all right, but just in attack, they're just not finishing their chances. I think Spurs do seem to go on streaks of doing really well and then doing really badly. They're a bit all over the place with that. I feel like Leicester is a great fixture to target, though. Leicester defence just looks absolutely shocking at the moment. They've conceded in every single game. I think there are quite a few goals in that game. I think Kane is a great captaincy pick. But for transferring in, I'd be steering clear of transferring them in. It's just on the free hit. I would definitely go for them on a punt. I just prefer the look of De Bruyne on the for the foreseeable future, and obviously he's just easier to get in for my team. Having St. Maximin in the team as well, I'd just like to cover the Newcastle attack in some way if I was to free hit. That obviously is very dependent on whether he's available. Andreas in there as a cheap option. But again, quite a lot of the players who I currently am looking to transfer in or have, I would have on a free hit. Obviously having Bay as well is a good bench option. He could actually go in the starting 11 over Andreas. Having that freemium draft for the free hit, I quite like the look of. But yeah, the likes of Digne as well in the team. No one has fond memories of Digne. Everyone who has owned Digne at some point knows that something backfires about his performance. So honestly, I don't know why he's in the team. But I just like, I guess I like his attacking threat. And Aston Villa's defence can be really good at some points. And then obviously, as I suggested before, having the double Newcastle defense. Again, this is it's very unlikely I'll free hit at this stage, given how with a -8 I can make my team look pretty good. But let me know if any of you guys are free hitting this week and what your team looks like. Is there any players who you think have flown a bit under the radar having a punt on this week? Given there's only 7 games, we can certainly focus a lot more on some different fixtures and certainly some different teams. There is absolutely, apart from Nico Williams on the bench, there is no red in this team, and yet all of our teams were completely red before only a couple of weeks ago with Arsenal and Liverpool, but obviously their fixtures are turning. I feel like they're still going to perform well, so I feel like if you want to keep your Liverpool and Arsenal assets, go ahead, because I think there could be great differentials, honestly, in the near future, given how everyone is now focusing on the fixtures and transferring them out. So keeping them might actually be quite beneficial, especially if they're doing well, because everyone's just going to flock back to them anyway. So there's lots of different things to do now. I think we can happily cheer on all of our players now. Unless you've got Haaland and you're not captaining him, that's the only thing. I think if you've got Haaland, unless you're captaining him, you're hoping he blanks. So yeah, that's basically how FPL is at the moment. If you've got Haaland, captain him, because if you don't captain him, you're going to be losing rank from him anyway. So yeah, that's basically it. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video looking at my Game Week 8 team. I'm looking forward to this week. Obviously the -8 is going to be quite catastrophic initially for my rank, but I'm hoping I can make it up with the points from the players that I'm bringing in. Again, it feels like I've got quite a few differentials now, but because everyone is promoting quite a similar wildcard template, I don't think my team is that different. I think it'll be the moves that I make later on that'll be quite different. I'm excited by the likes of Jesus, given how many people are getting rid of Jesus for the likes of Isaac, Mitrovic and Tony this week. But I'm going to keep Jesus for at least one more week. I might transfer him to Tony the following week for that Bournemouth fixture. Actually, no, we've got the international break, haven't we? So I've got quite a bit of time to think on that. But yeah, I think owning the likes of Jesus and, again, Trent, people who are being heavily transferred out right now, just keeping them on because I don't have my wild card, they might be some differential options in the future to gain the ranks. But yeah, let me know what you guys think of the video down below. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next FPL video.